Stankovich from Vertical Measures, and I'm here hosting VM's monthly webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Link Building Strategies for 2012 and Beyond, and will be presented by Arnie Kuenn. Now, we encourage you to tweet during the event, and you can shoot us your comments or questions, but please use the hashtag VMWebinar. Now, before getting started, please allow me to take care of a little housekeeping information. Today's webinar will be available for replay by tomorrow afternoon, assuming that there are no technical difficulties, of course. Now, we'll be happy to answer your questions, so please make sure to ask them in the applet located on the bottom of your screen. And any that we are not able to get to by the end of our hour together, we will email you responses to. If you are having any technical difficulties, please attempt to reconnect. And now, I'd like to introduce Arnie Kuenn.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Appreciate the intro. Now you see my little reminder, probably. Let me get rid of that. All righty. As Anne-Marie mentioned, I'm Arnie Kuenn. I'm president of Vertical Measures, and it's been a little while since I've done one of our Vertical Measures webinars, so I'll knock off the rust and kind of get going here. So as she mentioned, too, our hashtag for today, if you're going to tweet, is VM Webinar. And my Twitter ID is Arnie K, A-R-N-I-E-K, and it's at the top right of each of the slides I'm going to go through. So I've actually just, of course, right off the bat here, lost my little module for the webinar itself, so I'm going to let Anne-Marie keep track of the questions and kind of coach me through if she sees anything. All I see right now are my slides. So anyway, I'm also an instructor for the Content Marketing Institute and the Online Marketing Institute. And every presentation, I take a chance to plug my book, which came out the end of last year. I think it was August. It was actually officially released on Amazon. And it's called Accelerate. It's about moving your business forward through the convergence of search, social, and content marketing. And now that we have the promos out of the way. So today's session is going to be focused strictly on link building. But at Vertical Measures, we've kind of developed this 8-step process when we work with clients from a content marketing, pretty much a holistic internet marketing perspective. Starts with strategy, onto research, content, optimization, promotion, distribution, and again, we're talking about link building today. Just wanted to point that out. All right, so I think the reason that you are on this call is you're concerned about how to get the best possible natural search rankings. I mean, that's really one of the main reasons that people want backlinks and build links to their site. Of course, the other reason to get links is pure traffic. And in fact, I'm sure I'll touch on this in some future slides, but the best possible links are the ones that are actually also sending you traffic, not just a link back to your site. And the reason that you want to do this and to rank highly in Google or Bing search results are pretty much covered in these stats here. Now the graphic on the left, this is a eye tracking or a heat map. This was done, actually, I think now maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And there's all sorts of variations of this, and probably a lot of you on the call have seen different types and different views. But it's pretty much held up to be the same throughout the years. The stats on the right, though, are very current. These were just done by Group M, I think it was right around October, maybe November of 2011, so they're only maybe 4, 5, 6 months old. And the research that they did indicates that 93% of all buyers, whether they're going to buy online or in a store, use search prior to making a purchase. And I think we can all relate to that, right? Whether we're going to buy shoes or a car or link building services, whatever it is, you tend to investigate first. And the good news for a lot of us is that 86% of searchers conduct non-branded queries. And the reason I say that's good news is, most of us, or some of us, depending on the industry you're in, think, well, I'm constantly going to be crushed by the big guy. If I'm in insurance, maybe it's Allstate or Prudential or whoever. If I'm selling shoes, like I mentioned earlier, maybe the Zappos is going to always win, but because people search for those brands, but it turns out they don't. And I'll talk about long tail searches in a little bit as well. And then also, still, the vast majority of people click on the natural or the organic links that are on, on the search result pages, as opposed to the people that click on the sponsored links, the advertising, which you can see in that heat map there. The clicks off to the right are dwarfed by all of the clicks and eyeballs looking at the natural search results. So, and I know I've got people on this call that range in all kinds of capabilities and experience levels and so on and so forth. So I don't want to get too basic. I'm just going to very, very quickly make sure everybody's on the same page here. And basically how this works, and ever since Google came to be, whatever it is now, 11, 12 years ago, they really created the whole algorithm around backlinks pointing at your site, people linking to it. And it can come from all kinds of sources. And I just made up this one tweet here at the bottom left-hand side of that slide to show how you could actually link in Twitter to your web pages, and Google will follow some of this stuff. And the page up above is a client that actually linked to us on one of their pages, and they all pointed to this, the same link building page on our site. And so basically, what Google does is it follows links from page to page to page throughout the entire web, billions and billions of pages, and it indexes them. But when it does follow that link, it's looking for certain elements. It's wondering, why was this link sending me to this particular page? And so you want to make sure your pages are optimized appropriately. What this slide here is talking about is now there's all kinds of ways for people to find you. They find you through social media, they find you through search engines, and you can optimize for both. And then even within the search engines, the kind of content you have can be optimized differently, whether it's straight up, web pages like most of us are thinking, or whether or not you're posting news on your site, whether it's a local search, images, videos, they all need to be optimized independently. They're all slightly different, but they do have some core elements. And of course, number one thing is links pointing to them. But the other thing is, our key element is to make sure that your title and your title tags match up as well as possible with the the kind of links that you think are going to point to your site, and they'll point to them also based on the title and title tag. But make sure you've got optimized, unique titles and title tags. Your description meta tag is actually still pretty important. Make sure those are as unique as possible. And the reason you want to really take the 10 or 15 minutes to optimize each of your pages or whatever the content might be, the number 2 and number 3 thing here is because that's also what shows in the Google search results. So not only do you want to optimize them and use keywords, but you want to make them as attractive and as, I guess, salesy as possible so that when people do see them in the search results, they click on them. They want, that they want to go to your website. And of course, you want to always optimize your alt tags, your H1 tags, your URLs. If you can use keywords in them, that still seems to help. And page load times is also very, very important. Since Panda's kind of old news, it came out in February of last year. But some of the big things that happened with Panda is it became all about the user experience. And one of the things Google really started to measure was page load time. So make sure every single element of your page loads as quickly as possible to help with your ranking. And just in case you didn't know these different elements I was talking about, here's a snapshot of it. Your title tag, your meta description, which can't be seen by the typical web user, your H1 tag, which is usually the title of that page, and then bold text actually seems to make a little bit of a difference in trying to tell Google what's emphasized on that particular page. All right, so we're here to talk about links. So, what's the biggest factor as far as getting ranked? I know there's lots of, and I'll talk about this, there's lots of discussions about social media signals and so on and so forth, but most SEOs across the country absolutely agree that, it's still inbound links. That's what you need as far as the biggest influence to get ranked higher in the search engine. And the best links, you've been hearing this for a couple of years, if you've been in the business for a couple of years anyway, is that the best links come from trusted sites. And Google's working very, very hard to determine what are trusted sites. And in fact, in the last 30 days, I don't recall what the update might have been, but there was a change to the algorithm, and lots of blog networks seem to have gotten delisted. They got pulled out of the Google index. So they just viewed those couldn't be trusted, that they were built purely for link building and content generation, and they axed them. So also proper anchor text and varied anchor text. And the anchor text, of course, is the blue part. When you click on a link, that's telling someone where they're going to go and indicating what this link is all about. And when I say proper anchor text, generally the anchor text should match where it is you're sending the visitor. So if it's an internal link, or a link that you're placing on another site, or someone's linking to you voluntarily for, ideally they're going to link based on what that page is all about. But you do want varied anchor text. I know that just a couple of years ago, and up until a couple of years ago, us link builders pounded pretty hard on the exact anchor text, and that's really, really changed here in just the last 12 months as well. In fact, we've been able to help improve rankings for some of our clients by going in and varying the anchor text, reducing the amount of exact match anchor text. And then also became important here in the last year is links from many different domains. So not just a high quantity of links or site-wide links, but links from different domains count as many more different votes. And of course, any link that's determined editorially, in other words, wasn't purchased. So some standards to look for. I kind of covered this above, but link with relevant content, within relevant content, I'm sorry. Pages that receive traffic and that are cached are certainly something you want. If it's not even in Google's cache or it's not getting any traffic, it's probably not a very valuable link whatsoever. And a page that has links pointing to it is important. In fact, I know a lot of link builders around the country, they tend to build links to the pages that are linking to them. That can be a pretty smart strategy. And there's the whole debate about do follow and no follow links. If everything was happening 100% naturally, you would have quite a mix of do follow and no follow. But of course, if you can, you want as many do follow links as possible. But you do want your profile to be a mix of both, do follow and no follow. So what are bad links? It's probably obvious, but I know it's very, very tempting to go off and get easy, cheap links, right? I mean, we all want to take the fastest, lowest cost route, but in general, in the 10 years that I've been doing this, every year it's getting harder and harder and harder, and these kind of links just generally don't work. So, multiple links to the same site from the same page. So, that used to be kind of a common thing. If you could go out there and get people to link to you, now you might, you could write the article and then you'd stick 3 or 4 links to your website into the same article. Well, that's just not normal and not natural. It's very easy to identify. Links from the same pages that also link to porn or pills or casinos, that's no good either. I mean, if it just doesn't reflect very well on you, that's a bad neighborhood to be playing in, and again, it's very easy to spot. Non-relevant or spammy footer links. There's been a lot of famous brands that have got busted over the years for buying links, and a lot of those links tend to appear in the footer or the wrapper of a web page one way or another, but generally in the footer. And so sometimes you might look down on the footer and you see, a link to auto insurance, and then a link to, I'm going to come up with some examples here, auto insurance, automobiles, used cars, and then maybe hiking boots, and whatever. You get my point, is that it's linking to things that just are very, very, very different, and that's going to appear, of course, spammy or at least non-relevant to Google as well. Links from networks, as I just mentioned, seems like they're blowing up more and more networks. That's also, if you think about it, unless you're really, really, really smart and work hard at it, it's pretty easy to spot a network. They can look at, if you happen to place your AdSense ads on 30 of your websites, they pretty much can, they'll know it's owned by the same person, obviously same host, same owner of the domain, so on and so forth. You got to work pretty, pretty hard if you build a network to hide it. And then, of course, links on obvious links pages. I think that's kind of gone away. But believe it or not, I just saw that somebody actually I got spammed with someone promoting exactly this technique, which I thought was dead 3 or 4 years ago, which is building out links pages, meaning a page on your site or multiple pages on your site dedicated to linking to other sites who link to you using the same technique. Easy to find. Forum and blog comment spam is no good. It also can be fairly easy to detect. You've all seen it when you hit a blog or a forum where you just know it's been spammed. There's every kind of link, to Viagra and casinos and then auto insurance and so on and so forth, all in the same thing with very limited text in the comment. And it's just basically someone who's just auto-approving links, and that's no good. And then, as I talked on the previous slide, too much of the exact same anchor text anymore can actually hurt you. So that covers my list of bad links. So I'm going to talk primarily here in the next few minutes about two different ways to build links. I'm going to start off with manual link building. That's something I think most link builders have done and continue to do for years. As I mentioned earlier, it gets harder and harder every year, but almost every 2 months it seems the bar gets raised again. But here's some low-hanging fruit. And then the very first one is something we see that's often overlooked by our clients and just websites that we take a look at, which is internal linking. It's the easiest, cheapest link you can possibly get is on your own website. And internal links would mean from within content to your other pages, and of course following all the rules I have already outlined as far as optimizing and linking to appropriate pages and not abusing it. So if it makes sense within your content, I'm talking about within the text of a page, to link to another page on your site that is helpful for that user, do it. You'll see those links can actually help you. In blog and forum participation, part of the whole, even social, the social media thing, but this is specifically blogs and forums, which I guess are social media. The whole concept is to go out and engage, and you really should. I mean, depending on what industry you're in, there are definitely going to be standout blogs and standout forums where people in your industry are there and they're participating, and there's no reason for you not to be participating. One is it's a chance, of course, to drop links, and two, you'd be surprised how much business you can drive just by getting involved and engaged in just a handful of strong blogs or forums in your industry. And I'll talk about how you can find conversations here in the next slide. And some basic ones, asking your clients and suppliers for links. This seems really, really old school, but it still really works. I've actually gone out to dinners where, business dinners, and we've had a small group around the table, and right there, just ask for links, did a card exchange. It can be as simple as that. You might, just reach out to your favorite suppliers, offer them a T-shirt if they'll link to you, whatever it might be. I suppose you could offer a discount. But just think about the people you already have really good relationships with. Most likely they already have, a blog or website, of course, that they can link to you, and they might even have personal blogs where they can link to you. And then I bring this one up, and I want to make sure I clarify the very next one, even a good old-fashioned reciprocal link. Again, it's going to sound old school for a minute. Reciprocal linking was a strategy that was used for years. It kind of fell out of favor, of course, because it got abused, and most people did reciprocal linking by linking from a links page to another links page. And what I'm talking about here is simply, even going back to the clients and suppliers, people whatever, there's no reason why you can't link to a really nice blog post of theirs or a piece of content or an interesting infographic or whatever it is, and then maybe on some other page within their site, they link to one of your really cool things, a video or your free guide or whatever it might be. That happens very naturally on the web all the time. If that's the only kind of link you have in your profile is links coming from sites that you link back to as well, that's probably not good. And here I'm just talking about some low-hanging fruit where you can go off and just offer to just kind of swap some links from different pages back to your content, make it very natural, and it works fine. And then, of course, article and blog post placement. I don't, of course, call this easy or low-hanging fruit. This takes a lot of work, and it's a big part of what we do here. But you find places that might be interested in having content created for them, for their site or their blog or whatever it might be, offer to write it, and up front or however you want to handle it. But if you write a good article or you write a good blog post, you're going to link to many sources in it that make sense for that piece of content, and hopefully your website is one of those sources. And you ask, if you do all that work, provide a piece of content for them, they'll leave those links in place. They can have the content for free. It can be very, very effective. And then, big part of manual link building forever has been purchase or renting links. And of course, I have to put caution here. I have no idea who's on the call, but I will tell you, there's no sense in denying it or hiding it. Virtually every link builder has at one point or another purchased or rented links. And some of the big boys get caught because they don't do it right. But it's just part of the reality here. You can do it. I would be extremely careful, and I probably would never use a broker for it, but it does happen, right? And that's just the reality. All right, so I talked about forums and blogs now a few times. You know, I've mentioned it, and I mentioned I would cover it on the next slide. What I'm going to talk about here is how to find them. You know, that can be one of the most frustrating things if you don't already know what are the top blogs and top forums in your industry, or where people might be talking about your products and services. Here's a great tip for you. So when you go, at least in my opinion, so when you go to Google, you know, the Google homepage, and you do a search, and we all see the, usually it's on the left-hand side. I know Google's kind of been messing with their format a little bit over the years, but in particular the last couple of months. But, you know, on the left-hand side, you see some other choices where it might say images or video or news or whatever it says on the left. Well, this is an example where I actually searched for waterproof hiking boots. And on that left-hand column, there's also a button that's called More. And when you click on that button, you'll see something. I don't know if you can see my mouse circling it, but at the very top left here is Discussions. So when you click on the More button, you'll get some more choices, and one of them is Discussions. And if you click on Discussions, you'll get a list that looks like this. And this is basically where people are out talking about whatever whatever you just did a search for. So in this example, I did waterproof hiking boots. And you can see the very first result is Ask Bill at Amazon. The next one is Answers at Walmart. Down here is Muskie Dot, Outdoor First, Lawn Site, so on and so forth. And as you can see on the left, you can narrow this down to I want to know about discussions happening in the past week, past 24 hours, GIST forums, Q&A sites, you know, so on and so forth. But it's a great way to find out what's being discussed and where people are talking about your, you know, keyword phrases in essence, and then join those conversations. And if you find good, solid forums, join them. It'll give you some link building opportunities. All right, a couple of other ways to do link building this year and moving forward. Link recovery and link reclamation is something that we do periodically for clients. We do it for ourselves. Everybody, if you've been online very long, everybody has moved and changed their pages, realigned their site, and they'll have links out there that maybe are pointing to a dead page, you know, one that you missed on a 301, you know, redirect, or you know, whatever the situation might be. And actually, sometimes it can be as simple as they mentioned your company by name but didn't link to you. So that very first bullet there is, you know, the concept of going out and finding, you know, there's tools out there that help you do this, but that find these opportunities where you can then request at a website to you know, either fix a link or maybe add a link where they're already talking about you. Widgets and badges is another pretty good technique. You know, it probably peaked in 2010. People still use it fairly well. The hard part really is getting, you know, you can come up with the idea to create the widget or badge to link back to your site. You know, maybe you have a contest or you know, whatever it might be. The hard part, of course, is promoting and getting other people to put those widgets or badges on their sites. And so I think that's lost a little bit of favor. We don't do that too much with clients anymore because I think it just turned out that the ROI hasn't been there as consistently as maybe we had hoped and others had hoped. But when it works, it can be really, really effective. And then this third bullet here, competitive research for similar content. This is something we do here all the time. I highly recommend it. This is a shout out, I guess, to SEO Moz. But this is a tool they developed called Open Site Explorer. And it's free on a limited basis. And then you can pay a monthly subscription to get all access to all the features that you see actually in this screenshot. But what I recommend is go to your competitor site. So maybe you pick your 3, 4 competitors that are beating you in specific keyword phrases. Enter their URL in that little area on the top there. And I don't know if you can see my mouse, but you enter it here. And then Open Site Explorer is going to run out and gather a bunch of data on the sites. And most sites are in here. Their index is pretty darn large. And the next thing I recommend is the second tab over where it says Top Pages. If you click on that, it pretty much will sort your competitors' pages in the order of what pages have the most links pointing to them. And what I recommend then is you start clicking through to see what kinds of content is working really, really well for your competitor. If you have the same or better content, or similar or better content, you might contact those websites, of course, that are linking to your competitor and ask them to link to yours as well. Or if you don't have that content, you might want to create it, whether it's infographics or video or top 10 list or whatever it might be, and then go back and ask these sites that are already linking to your competitors if they would link to your content, make them aware of it. Obviously it takes time. You got to be organized, and you have to stick to it, but it can be very effective at finding some really powerful links back to your site. All righty, and then I think this is the last one from a manual link building perspective. Search operators. This is also, if you're into link building, this is something you do quite often to find the right places to get links back to you. And I won't rattle through each one of these just for the sake of time. I've got some more to cover. But actually, the link on the bottom of this page here, the bit.ly link, the bit.ly/7wayskw, that will take you to a post on our website where we wrote lots of different ways to use keywords in your search operators to find opportunities to ask for or get links. And some of them you can see are as basic as like those last 4 there in this list. Hiking boots, guest blogger, post writer, just those kinds of keyword phrases. Hiking boots, submit article. Hiking boots, submit post. And those are ways to find where you might be able to submit, of course, articles and guest posts. Alrighty, so the first half of what I just talked about is manual link building. Now I'm going to spend the next maybe whatever it is, 10 minutes talking about link attraction. It's something we've been working really hard on for our clients for the last couple of years now, and I think it's finally gaining some traction. And the reason we're pushing it, and the reason I think it's good, and the reason I want you to consider it, is these links are basically given freely. Based on the content that you're talking about. People are going to editorially link to this. So the second bullet here, if you create interesting, fun, engaging, educational, whatever it might be, content, you're going to get quality links from a variety of sources like I talked about early on. That's what you want. They're going to be natural. They're going to be given to editorially. They'll probably generate traffic to your website, and there's no risk, right? I mean, people are linking to it because they want to link to it. And there's all kinds of content that can attract links, blogs, podcasts, case studies, so on and so forth. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to step through, I think I've got about 6 examples here just to show you. But the message I also want to make sure is don't worry about them all being grand slams. I know a lot of us vendors and agencies, will tell you all about this infographic that attracted, 500 or 5,000 backlinks, or this incredible video that's spread throughout the world, or whatever. And that's one example. And what they're not telling you is they may have tried 100 times before they hit that grand slam. What I'm recommending, what we see over and over and over again, is you just swing for singles. And if you watch Moneyball, I suppose it follows that exact example where, if you can hit a single every time, eventually you're going to win the game. So I'm going to talk about some non-branded examples of content that attract links. And the reason I'm saying non-brand is I'm not going to give examples of Coca-Cola or Ford, who might have had a $500,000 or $1 million budget to create awesome content that spreads and everybody will of course link to. I'm talking about companies like yours and mine, typically, who have finite budgets and need to get the most out of them. And so my first example here is Network Solutions created a pretty funny video, kind of taking a shot, or at least a parody on GoDaddy. They created a Go Granny video, and I will tell you, these stats that are on the bottom of some of these slides are now about 60 days old, so I'm assuming they've improved a little bit. But this single video, single page on their website attracted over 5,000 backlinks from 54 unique domains. Now, I want to point out, though, that the 54 unique domains is the important part here, not the 5,000 backlinks. Even though 5,000 backlinks is really, really impressive, I think it's easy for everybody on this call to do the math and realize that somewhere they've got some site-wide links. Somebody, linked to it in a sidebar or a footer or however. and so it's not quite as impressive. But 54 unique domains is a very nice. Again, that's a single page on their website. Interviews attract links. On the left is a podcast interview that was done. Not a whole lot of text on the page, and I don't think I have a screenshot of the entire page there, but I can tell you there wasn't a lot of text on the page. But that single interview attracted 133 backlinks from 47 unique domains. Pretty good. On the right, I don't know how many on the call are familiar with Jay Baer, but when my book came out, he did an interview with me. So this is a Skype interview, a split-screen Skype interview. The interview runs about 18 minutes long, and I'll tell you that in the beginning we had a couple of glitches, and it took us maybe 15 minutes to get all set and all working to where we were happy. So we spent maybe 45 minutes doing this interview. Jay then spent about an hour editing and adding his logo and the titles and optimizing it and so on and so forth and posting it to his website. And within about 30 days, I went back and checked the stats. And you can see he got tweeted 278 times, which is great. Got 118 shares on LinkedIn. At that point, it was liked 29 times. But it attracted 35 backlinks from 16 unique domains. So there's 2 man-hours worth of work, in essence, maybe 3 if you count his and my time and plus his editing time. So 3 man-hours worth of work got 16 links from unique domains. Free guides, free ebooks, they attract links. HubSpot, a lot of you on the call probably are very aware of HubSpot. They're awesome at creating content. Well, that's their whole business, right? Inbound marketing. And they do a lot of free guides, free ebooks. And this single page on their website promoting this how to monitor your social media presence, that page attracted 208 backlinks from 57 unique domains. And contests, probably all of us have entered a contest. Depending on what you consider a contest, I guess I was going to say Groupon, but Groupon's not really a contest. But Zag has recently run contests to win iPods, or iPad, and I know a lot of people in our office participated. Contests work. They're a little bit, more difficult to set up and manage and operate. And of course, you've got to provide valuable gifts. But here's one from Credit Cards Canada, right? I mean, I doubt anybody on the call has ever heard of them, and obviously they're a credit card site, probably an affiliate site. They ran a pretty simple contest about writing a blog post, and that single little contest generated 282 backlinks, 36 unique domains. And here's one that we did. And the reason I point this one out is we did a takeoff on Oktoberfest, obviously. We did a Linktoberfest SEO infographic in 2010. We're a little bit late for Oktoberfest then. Just ran a little bit behind. We got it out. And we got some pretty big links right off the bat. I'm going to say maybe right off the bat we had 50 backlinks and maybe 20 unique domains. But what's kind of interesting is this year, without us doing anything, people stumbled across it again, and we got more backlinks. So it continues to attract backlinks and lots of content. That's how it works, right? People find it in the search results when they're writing a post, when they're doing whatever they're doing. They think it's funny or interesting or educational, and they link to it. So here's a simple blog post that we did, 33 unique domains linked to it. And in doing research, I give a similar presentation all around the country at different SEO conferences, and talking about link attraction. And so we spent a couple of weeks here just looking at lots and lots of websites, looking at what kinds of content attract links. And I have to admit, I was guessing, of course, it was either going to be maybe free guides or infographics, because they seem to be all the rage at the moment. But it turns out that the pages that on average attracted the most backlinks reliably were the pages that were lists. And I, of course, for this webinar, grabbed this screenshot because we're talking about link building. So if you want, you can go to our website. It's almost a 2-year-old post. It's still attracting traffic and links. There's a link to it at the bottom of this slide, but if you just go look for top 100 link building resources on Google, you'll find this page, and it really is a great resource. But that blog post attracted 147 backlinks and 43 unique domains. So lists, whether you're in travel or health or whatever, whatever market you're in, top 10 places to visit when you're in Chicago, or the 20 best pizza places in Chicago. Whatever the examples are, those really seem to work well for link attraction. And then solid blog posts. This is your grand slam. So this is a friend of mine, Brian. He's a bronze copy blogger. You've probably heard of him as well. He wrote a blog post, I think it's now about 3 years old, maybe 2 years old, on how to write magnetic headlines. And he links to some good examples. But this post, as you can see on the bottom, got over 1,000 backlinks from 510 unique domains. Now that's your grand slam. Again, this is the links and the unique domains pointing to a single page on his site. And all these links pointing to your deep pages help with your entire website's authority. They're going to help your rankings for all of your keyword phrases if you can pull off and get some content out there like this and get this kind of a backlink profile. All right, so what about social media? So those are my link attraction examples. So obviously social media is a big player now in the whole search engine rankings algorithm. I shouldn't say it's built into the algorithm, but it's clearly a factor now. Mentions and shares are certainly signals to both Google and Bing. Bing's got relationships with the big social networks. Google is rolling out Google+. There is no doubt that Google+ is affecting rankings, especially if you're logged into your Google account. The citations seem to influence rankings, so if people are talking about your web pages and your brand, that's only helping. And they do provide backlinks, right? Just like in the very beginning when I showed you that tweet that had a direct link back to one of our pages. I mean, they are links, and if they're in Facebook, Pinterest, whatever platform that you might think of and talk about, that's all going to help. And it's fairly easy to do, right? It just takes time. And of course, it helps with promoting your content. All this link attraction that I talked about in the last 5 or 6 slides, most of what we end up doing once we create the content for us or our clients or whatever is we get out and we promote it. I mean, somehow you've got to get people to know about this piece of content. If it's any good, then it'll start to take off by itself, and and then if it starts to show up in the search results, well, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you're a blogger, you know that when you're creating a blog, you go out and you start to look for resources and examples, and you go to generally Google or Bing and you do a search, and you're going to link to the content that makes sense within your blog post, and that's how that whole circle can really get started and take off for you. So my link attraction summary, though, is to be patient and keep producing engaging content. Going all the way back to my, don't worry about swinging for the grand slam. Hit some singles. I mean, I got to tell you, lots and lots of the pages on our website and lots of the content that we produce get, 5 backlinks, 3 backlinks, maybe 10 backlinks. But every once in a while, we'll get one that gets 100 100 domains, different domains. The example I showed you there got over 500. Don't count on that viral effect. You can't make it happen. Just keep producing content. Think about long-tail keyword phrases. Solve your customers' problems with your content. If you just think about how you use search every day, when you go to buy those hiking boots or shop for that auto insurance or find a link building vendor, whatever the example might be, that's what your clients are doing as well. They're out there looking. They're out there searching. They want to know who they can trust and who's solving their problems online. They're looking. So when you feel like you have a really good piece of content, promote it. And then I'd recommend, again, I'm talking about link attraction right now, is just do the math. If you think about some of those examples I gave you where they attracted 200 backlinks from 50 domains. I mean, if you hired a link building company, or you went out and did manual link building to try to get links from 50 different domains, I mean, you could be talking, let's say $300 or $400 a link, depending if it took you a few hours to do it. So what did I just say? So I mean, literally, to get 50 backlinks from 50 different domains, it could be a $10,000, $20,000 project. And instead, if you could create the good content and promote it and be patient and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, I think you'd find the ROI and the the results very, very cost effective. All right, so my wrap up. Backlinks and social mentions are critical to search rankings. I think I've kind of beaten that one up. And also what I highly recommend, and this is something I didn't even talk about 2 or 3 years ago, is to try to split your link building efforts and slash budget, 50% manual link building and 50% link attraction. I really, really think that you'll find long-term better results. I mean, if you've built a website, you're in business. I hope you're in business for longer than a few months, and then plan on your link building and your SEO efforts to take many months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. I mean, just really put a plan together and stick to it. I think you'll see amazing results. And by the way, I mean, that's what we've done at Vertical Measures. I mean, we've grown very nicely over the last few years. We have never, well, I shouldn't say never, we have spent a little bit, I mean a little bit, a couple $1,000s over the years on pay-per-click. We've never purchased ads. Every lead, every piece of business we've gotten is by us getting out there on the social networks, building links, optimizing our site, and getting found online. And that is a wrap. Thank you. And I've lost the view of, so I don't know if there's any questions coming in or not, but I'll let Anne-Marie kind of jump in and take over and let me know if there's anything for me to answer.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Arnie, for the presentation and all the great suggestions on finding quality link prospects. And we have just a few minutes to take some questions from the audience, so go ahead and use the chat applet to enter your questions now. And I see we actually have a few here in the queue. First of all, Arnie, you did touch on this, but maybe if you could readdress for this attendee. It says you list reciprocal links, but I've heard that these are rejected by Google. Please explain.
Yeah, what I mentioned is that it was an old school technique, and I probably need to find a phrase different than reciprocal links. Typically, reciprocal links meant you're going to link from, I'm going to link from my links page, that list of resources, and it's just a page that's nothing but linking out to other sites, and I'm going to accept links from other sites to that page, maybe my home page. So it's pure, I'm going to link to you if you link to me, and using links pages. So what I meant was, don't be afraid of, if you have a friend who, let's say you're in the travel business, you run a boutique hotel, and you've got a friend who is an avid hiker. I'll just keep using that example. So maybe I have a hiking blog, and so you just ask them, would you mind linking to me? I've got a really cool blog post about the best hikes in Phoenix. Ask that person to link to that blog post of yours. And then what I'm saying is then you could reciprocate by saying, and by the way, I'll link to you from some other page. I'll link to a great piece of content on your site, and that's what I'm talking about, because it happens naturally all the time. We linked accidentally to many sites who also happen to link to us. And that's what I meant. I suppose reciprocation is better than saying a reciprocal link.
Okay, great. Thank you. And another question here, how can a local business use link building to their advantage?
Well, actually, I think local businesses can maybe use it to a bigger advantage than some of the national brands and so on. I mean, you would, obviously, or not obviously, but I'm hoping that you have set up local optimized pages. So if you're I'll use a restaurant, I guess, a Phoenix pizza shop, but maybe you have pages talking about the best pizza in Phoenix, or whatever it is. I'm not giving a very good example, but what you might be able to do is reach out to local directories, or if you belong to associations, maybe you belong to a marketing association or a restaurant association or whatever. Make sure that if you are, that you're getting links as being a member from those associations. If there are directories listing local Phoenix area restaurants, get listed in those directories. Those can be some of the easiest things to do. And the reason I said it can be great for local search is you're already, I hope, focused on what I would call long tail phrases, location-based kind of searches. And if you can get links using that anchor text towards you, pointing to those pages, that can be a huge advantage for a local business.
Okay, great. And one final question here. what are the top things to look for in a good link?
Well, I covered that in one of the slides, but I think one of the keys, and I realize this is very hard, but if the link, if the page that's linking to you, of course, is relevant, but if it is already has page rank or certainly in Google's index, and if getting traffic, if you can get a link on that page, which means the odds are it might send you traffic by people clicking on that link, that's probably the best possible link you can get. And any link that's sending you traffic trumps some link that's just on a blog post that nobody's reading and nobody saw. So that'd be the the best, fastest, easiest qualifier.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and that's all the time that we have for questions today. And we'd like to thank you for joining us, and mark your calendar for our next webinar, which is the second Thursday of every month. I'm Anne-Marie Jankovich with Vertical Measures, and Arnie, thank you again for presenting link building strategies for us today. And we will be sending out information tomorrow with a link to the recording. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.